Happy Friday. We made it through another week. Welcome to Cooped Up Live, should I say. My daily-ish broadcast where I just talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. While we are waiting on folks to join the live broadcast, coopedup.com is my website. You can check that out at any time. Also subscribe to get emails from me occasionally, super occasionally. And on social, my handle in all places is I'm Cooped Up. Love a follow, especially if you're on the Instagrams. And wherever you watch or listen to this, it is aired on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and then also rebroadcast in audio format on all of the major podcasting platforms in case you want to listen while you're jogging, driving to school, driving to work, whatever. Click the bell, subscribe button, whatever they call it, so that you get notified anytime I come live, post new content, all that stuff. Hey, Mama! How you doing? Hope you are doing well. I am happy to wrap this week up. It has been weird. So I had every intention of coming live yesterday. I was set up. I was ready to go. And at about 4 o'clock, maybe 4:15, I learned that a longtime friend of mine died yesterday. And he's been dying for a while. He was actually on hospice for the last few weeks. And he was having, I think, colon cancer for sure. It was started as colon cancer and then spread to other areas. And so I was a little broken up and didn't really kind of feel it. And then I just read about that submarine implosion and all that stuff. So I was like, fuck it, we're not doing it live today. So, and then I just didn't feel like talking about it either, and that's rare for me to not want to process everything externally. But it got me thinking about like what a weird time middle age is. I don't mind. So I'll be 50 next year. It does not bother me at all, partly because this does not look 50, right? And I've had my health checked out. I would not say I'm like the bastion of health, but I do go to the doctor regularly now. I just had a full body MRI done. I try to exercise on the regular. I try to eat right. I drink a ton of water. I drink too much, but that's probably about it. And so, but one of the things about being middle-aged that is so weird, and I feel like it's a wave right now. Like, I know that when you're older, your friends die all the time. Like, it just becomes a part of, oh, so-and-so, Gertrude died, Ethel died, Harvey died, all these kind of old people names died. But it's weird when you're like in your 40s. And I guess that's when your first wave of friends the reason why the death rate is the average is what it is, because there has to be people who die earlier than that. And that's kind of when like cancer starts to set in. This is a heavy episode for the moment. It's not going to be this heavy the whole time. We're going to lighten it up and talk about a submarine implosion in a second. But it's weird. And it's also like when your parents start to die. 'Cause, my dad died last year. Eric, who I had lunch with today. I may or may not have already had 3 glasses of wine today. Just F to the Y to the I. It's been a minute though, so I'm okay now. But like his dad just died recently. His mom died a few years ago. All of that, and so it's just one of those things that's just like, wow, we've got to deal with that now. That's not what I expected to. Like in your 20s and your 30s, you still occasionally get a friend that gets in a car accident and dies, or random like aggressive breast cancer or something. But it's not like super normal. We're getting to the point now where it's like a few friends a year, maybe a little bit more. And I don't like that part of it. But so is the circle of life, right? So rest in peace to Stephen. He is one of our adoption Sherpas, is what I always called him. He was introduced to us by our friend Brian Browning, and he and his husband Brian, also named Brian, really helped guide us through our adoption process. They were very instrumental in like helping us figure out, is this normal? Is this not normal? Because there's a lot of not normal stuff in the process. And then, and then we've kind of lost touch over the last few, kids get into like middle school and you get busy with all that kind of stuff and you forget to call. The next thing you know, it's been like a year. I mean, we'd go on vacations with them and stuff. Even I've been to Mexico with them, been to the wine country in California with them, all that kind of stuff. So So when I learned he was in hospice, I wrote him a very nice letter. Well, I say it's nice. Hopefully he thought it was nice, and hopefully he got it. But anyway, Mom is saying, love your shirt. Mom, this shirt, what I was literally just telling Eric today, this is one of my favorite shirts. I've owned it for a million years. I could not wear it until I lost 35 pounds, which I gained 7 back, but I'm back down now. Because the buttons were, it was too tight, and it was causing, when you wear stripes, especially thin stripes, if you have any sort of variation, it gets wavy and it's very obvious. But one of the things I was telling Eric today at lunch about the shirt, one of the reasons I like it so much is it actually reminds me of a shirt that you, my mother, wore like when I was young, like in the 80s. This was a very common like shirt that you would have worn around, and I've just got jeans on and some like half boots today. So I'm being very rugged today. But yeah, so it reminded me of that. And also the shirt is great because it can get wrinkly, but it doesn't stay wrinkly. It's just a good fabric. Having a little luxury logo doesn't hurt either. But yes, I am a huge fan of the shirt, and I always feel really cute when I wear it. So it was your favorite too when you had a similar shirt. I know. What I need to do is I need to look up like the actual, I'm sure there's a style name or something in the tag. It's obviously Ralph Lauren. But I need to look up the style name and see if they still make it one. I'm sure they do. Hopefully it hadn't been cut. But I don't know if this is like a slim cut, because I like the way it's slim, but it's not like tight in my midsection. It hits just right. It's not too long. It's not too short. Anyway, apologies to those of you who are listening on the audio only version of this. You're used to it. And Eric and I again had a great lunch today. Middle Age has very good days and very bad days. Yes. Yeah. Eric had to go be a Chad at the bank today because they did him dirty, but it all got fixed. So let's talk about the submarine implosion thing. So obviously yesterday at about 3:00, they announced that the submarine, they found the wreckage of it, and it has imploded. Like it is gone. Like it is all of that. And they don't know why. Obviously they can't figure out why, because it's down there and implosions are just implosions, right? But they found like parts of it that didn't implode because they were like the cone part, but the middle part imploded, right? Where the people were. And I was watching Anderson Cooper last night. And by the way, James Cameron was dishing some tea last night about this submarine and all that kind of stuff. James Cameron being the producer of the movie Titanic, who's also an explorer who's been down to the Titanic like 36 times or so. And about like if you would go in a polycarbon, I think that's what it was, carbon fiber, some whatever, carbon fiber shell. If you would, which is what airplanes are made out of, but they're not good for pressure, they're good for expansion. And his answer was hell no. But anyway, and that it could go down twice, fine, which is what this one did. And then the third time it's just like, Todd and I were, I'll get back to the Anderson Cooper thing. Todd and I were talking about it yesterday. Wouldn't it be weird if, so it probably wasn't some catastrophic failure. Probably what happened, because this thing was supposed to come back up at worst 24 hours after it went down. It had, the ballast had these disintegrating links that after 24 hours, they just released it and it automatically went up. So at the very least, if it didn't implode, we should have seen a tube full of dead people at the worst, right? On the surface. But and by the way, if they came up to the surface and there was no way to get out of that thing. They were riveted and like bolted into it. There was no escape hatch. There was no way out, because that's part of when you're down there can't be anything. But wouldn't it be weird if it were something just totally random that caused it? Like nothing catastrophic. It's like the same thing that you hear like on plane crashes and like the space shuttle and all of that kind of stuff when there are explosions. It's never like, there's never like a big smoking gun about it. It's usually like, oh, someone bumped into it and created a tiny little dent in the side of it. Not enough to be a crack, not enough to even notice, like bumped into it. Or maybe when they were setting off and they hit the champagne bottle on it, it just created just enough of a nick that the pressure could get into and then just go at it, right? Just the things that you wouldn't think about. Like that is, or a screw is just slightly too tight or slightly too loose, probably too tight. But one of the experts that was on, that's the thing that Todd and I were talking about how it's probably just like this weird thing that happened. But one of the experts that was on Anderson Cooper last night is hang on, after AC. That's a topic I want to talk about also. Was the like what it felt like how did it like did these people feel pain? Was there any like fear or anything like that? And the consensus of the experts on implosions and all of this stuff is that implosions happen, it's something like 1,500 miles per hour is how quickly, and because this thing is so small, it would have just been like that. Like implosions happen faster than the brain can even process what happened. So basically these people, most likely, I mean, obviously we don't know, but most likely these people went from, hey, look out the window to gone, like just like that. Also, supposedly the heat it generates just for a split second on the inside is like equivalent to like a solar flare or something like that. Again, this is news-ish, science-ish, whatever. But I'm in their general right direction. So they were both incinerated and crushed before their brains could even process that they were having a problem, like at all. I mean, that's barring if there was an actual leak or something. But they couldn't have had a leak, because if there was a leak, that would have meant there was a way in, and it would have imploded instantly because the pressure is just so extreme down there. So that is like the silver lining of all of it, that there was no suffering, no pain, no fear. I mean, other than you're stuck in a tube going down. And Eric is saying, I hope they went so fast that they never knew what happened. Yeah, that's the consensus. Granted, they could be telling all the rest of us that to make us feel better. It's now come out that the Navy thinks that they actually did hear the implosion happen, and they reported it to the Coast Guard. And the Coast Guard, that's how it kind of narrowed down where they thought it might be. But we hadn't been told that. Not that we had any right to know that. This is one thing that drives me nuts. People are like, why were they hiding that from us? It's like, why do you feel entitled to know that? Like, why did we need to know that until we needed to know that? Like, I do not feel entitled to know everything everybody knows. Sometimes I actually don't want to know everything. The secrets and all of that kind of stuff, it just doesn't help the situation. But anyway, but it'll be interesting because supposedly the wife of the CEO who was in it, she is somehow related to, is it the Astor family? And those are the people in the movie Titanic that were portrayed. They were the richest people on the ship. They were portrayed as the husband and wife who just laid down in bed and let themselves die in the ship wreck, the Titanic shipwreck, obviously. That she's like great granddaughter to them or something like that. So how weird that her husband is now at the bottom of the sea, 1,500 feet from them, right? Anyway, the other thing, totally different, sort of different subject, but not really, is I don't know who is this woman who is on. I don't watch network or cable news at all. I read the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and Dallas Morning News most days, but I don't watch broadcast news very often. But so there's this woman who is on immediately after Anderson Cooper right now. And I think she's a fairly new star on CNN. She may be the woman who hosted the Donald Trump town hall a few weeks ago. But she is so, Caitlin, I think is her name. Because I'm like shocked that we live in a world now where there are Caitlins on television. Like that to me is a child's name. And it's not even a real word, but that's a whole other thing. So she's on and she's interviewing these people, and her interviewing skills are on par with like a middle school news broadcast. Like it is so. She asks these like super obvious questions, does not probe any deeper on them, does not push them harder. Not that you're going to do this to people who are grieving about a submarine implosion, but literally there's all just like super super surface level, superficial questions. And when they're answering the questions, she looks like this. And it shouldn't even nod her head. It's just like she's listening, which obviously is what she's supposed to do. But you're also listening on TV while we're watching you listen. So at least be like, good point. Like just that kind of thing, right? And she's fully Botoxed. Not that mine's expired, but around this time last year, I had it last time. I'm way out of date on mine. But she is probably in her 30s and just doesn't move at all. And except for she has this thing that she does with her mouth. Anyway, but it's not even her appearance. It is her demeanor and her just total, like the way she's asking the questions and all that kind of stuff. It's just so weird. So watch it. If you watch CNN, watch this woman afterwards and tell me, now that I've planted this seed in your mind, if this does not bother you too. Maybe I'm just a bitch. I don't know. I mean, there is a high likelihood of that. High riding bitch, isn't that what the thing from Dolores Claiborne is, Eric? I think so. Another interesting. I'm going to actually skip ahead on my topic list. Speaking of Botox and all that kind of stuff, I'm trying out a new skin regimen right now. I'm normally a Kiehl's girl all the time, every time. The problem is it's not always the easiest to get. And I have been reading a lot of things, and it's owned by Estee Lauder now. So if I order it, it just comes in like a Estee Lauder box. And I'm like, well, if I'm buying Estee Lauder, might as well just go to the grocery store or whatever. So, because I think they sell Estee Lauder no, maybe I'm getting it wrong. Maybe I'm thinking L'Oreal. Anyway, so I've been doing a lot of research and reading, and people are just raving about Olay. Specifically, some of these new Olay Regenerist lines. Like I saw Martha Stewart talking about it. I've seen Real Simple, which Real Simple is a great resource for stuff like this because they don't like a bunch of additives and it has to actually work and all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying this whole setup of Olay Regenerist. There is a body soap, there is a body lotion, there's a face wash, there is a face lotion for the daytime. And then there's and it's all hydrocolloid. It's the Regenerist hydrocolloid plus vitamin D, right? And then the evening one has retinol in it also. You can't wear retinol during the day because it'll melt your face off, but at night you can. So I've been doing this, and I'm finding that I am needing to do this. So far, it seems to be working okay. I mean, my skin looks great, right? I'm a little red, I think. It looks kind of like a tan, but I think I'm a little tender. And again, I've only been doing it for like 3 days now. Since Tuesday, I believe, is when I started. But my thing is hydrocolloid is, and I even did more research on it because I'm like, my skin is itchy. Like I have been like scratching my skin like I have dry skin. And it's not like an allergic itch. It's just like a dry skin itch. So I looked it up, and it does say hydrocolloid in some people, especially if you are prone to dry skin, will cause dry skin. So you also still need to put more lotion on of another type, like a non-hydrocolloid lotion. I'm like, oh, that didn't achieve what I wanted it to. But if it makes my skin tone better and all of that, and because that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to like even out your skin tone, make things a little bit more flexy. Because isn't it shocking how much of a difference this versus this looks like on your lines, like right there? Anyway, if y'all and my friends who are fans of Olay are like, Olay, I love it. And so far I'm liking it, and it seems to be high quality products. They're not stupid expensive. For me, it's more about the accessibility of them. If I'm running out or whatever, I want to be able to order it from Amazon or Walmart or whatever. Today is one science lesson after another, Eric is noting. I wish I had a notebook. Hydrochloric acid. Anyway, what else did I have on my list? Oh, Carrie and I were talking this morning. She sent me this TikTok video about like so basically it was every hit song, number one hit song from the year 1984. The beginning, it had Casey Kasem saying, "This is the American Bandstand Countdown," whatever. And then they took like a 5-second snippet of every song, number one song in the year 1984, and they put them all together. First of all, bangers. All of them The Jam, Jamie Jams, good songs, all that kind of stuff. But here's what surprised me about it. So, like, the number one song of the whole year, like the single most successful song of the year was Prince, and I believe it was When Doves Cry. It was one of his songs from that year, but I believe it was When Doves Cry. But it was the number one song of the entire year, most successful song of the whole year, most time spent at number one. And it was only at number one for 4 weeks. Most of these songs that you hear, like a Virgin, 2 weeks. True Colors from Cyndi Lauper, fabulous song, by the way, one of my very favorites. Like 2 weeks. Some others were 1 week, but it was like all of these songs, like people, Hall & Oates, Prince. Prince was on it twice. The second one was only 2 weeks. Madonna, all of these people, right? Cyndi Lauper, the biggies. 2 weeks. Nowadays, I don't know how long a song stays on the charts nowadays, but in my mind, I feel like I hear, because I don't keep up with this all that much. I couldn't, and I rarely listen to like the top hits on my Apple Music or even on my Sirius XM, which I don't even know why I subscribe to that, because I always listen to Apple Music. But and I listen to it says Cooper's Channel, which I know it means middle-aged homosexual white guy who is a little effeminate or a lot and doesn't drive very much. Like, that is what it is. But nowadays, I don't know. Angela's laughing at me saying nowadays. Nowadays, like, how long are they on? I feel like I hear like Cardi B has been top of the charts for 16 weeks or something. And that may be an exaggeration. But it's like, how weird how long these songs stay on the charts. And here's my theory, because I know that y'all want to know my theory on this, even though you didn't even think about this until about 10 seconds ago. My theory is that back in 1984, the number one ranking was based solely on two measures. And I don't know if this is actually true, but largely based on two measures. Airplay, so basically DJs, actual human DJs on radio stations, because it wasn't like Jack FM back then where they just had a computer doing it. Actual DJs choosing what songs to play on the radio. And I'm sure that after 2 weeks of playing a song or 3 weeks of playing a song, they were sick of a song, or they would hear a new one, and they always wanted to be like on the cutting edge. So they were trying to push out whatever the next new big song is, right? And they were influenced by the studios and all that kind of stuff. So there was DJ preference, and then also actual record sales. And you had to buy a whole album back then, and all of that kind of stuff. So that was why I think they didn't stay on very long, because if you were a huge Cyndi Lauper fan, you bought the record or the album or the cassette or whatever it was, like, as soon as it came out, right? And as soon as you started hearing the song on the radio, and then the radios were playing it for a few weeks, and they're like, fuck this song, there's a better song now that I want to listen to now. That's my theory about why they were so short-lived, versus nowadays, the criteria is so much more. They take into effect airplay on the radio. They take into effect how many downloads it's had on Apple Music, Spotify. They even take into effect how many times it's been played on YouTube. And I think some social media affects it. It's also easier nowadays to you just buy one song. Like, you don't buy albums. I mean, I have a streaming subscription now. I haven't paid any money for music in years. But if I am interested in a song, just ask anyone who knows me, I will listen to it. I will listen to that until the wheels fall off. Like Beyonce's Renaissance album, like non-stop going. Adele's album, non-stop going. All that kind of stuff. And so I think that is why potentially these songs stay on the charts much longer, because it's more based on the actual consumer activity. And if you really like that song, you really, really, really like that song. And also, computers are running most of the algorithms of what songs are being played. And my guess is that they're looking at downloads, all that kind of stuff, and amping up ones because they think people are more prone to want to listen to that station, all that, which is the exact opposite of that. So anyway, this is the kind of shit Cooper Koch thinks about. It's real smart though, isn't it? I think so. one other piece of info that I have for y'all is Amazon I think it was on Wednesday, Amazon announced when their Prime Days are. Prime Days, if you don't know, is basically like Black Friday on Amazon. They do it for 2 days. This year it's going to be July the 11th and 12th. So 7-Eleven Day, which is also the day that Slurpees are really, really cheap. 7-Eleven and 7/12 are the Prime Days. And they mark stuff down. Some stuff is like not really marked down. Some stuff is like marked up, so it can be marked down. Also, Target and Walmart and a lot of these other places, particularly Walmart, will price match most of the things on there. However, I've gotten some really good deals on Prime Day because I do watch things. And so I have already started to create a watch list for myself on, and actually I have a link to it, just getting started on it. But I am starting to watch things, copy that I'm dropping into the comments for you. That I am watching to see so that I remember what they are, because it can be very overwhelming. There are thousands and thousands of products that get marked down. It's usually a lot of the Amazon owned gadgets, Amazon merchandise, which I'm a big fan of Amazon Basics. I'm a big fan of like store brands in general. I buy just as much generic as I buy name brand stuff. But Amazon Basics has been very good, and I suspect they're made by the big brands anyway. But like I'm watching some gadgets. I'm watching some... there's the Dyson. Mason wants a new blow dryer, and I'm going to give him mine, I think, and then I'm going to get a new one. And I want the Dyson blow dryer, but the Dyson blow dryer is like stupid expensive. But I'm not afraid to spend money if I know it's going to last forever and it's going to be like an improvement on my life, because you know how I feel about my hair. And what else was on my list? Let me just look at that real quick. I can't even think of what I had on the list. They're saying it's super rudimentary. I just got it started. Oh, there's the Supergoop sunscreen, because I'm a big fan. It's the second time today I've talked about Supergoop sunscreen. Those Turkish beach towels that I like so much. Underwear, air tags, a bidet. I have not bought a new bathroom scale. And so that's on my list. Also, Philips has this new, and I do not need this. I need this like I need a hole in a head or a vagina. But Philips has come out with this pasta and noodle maker. It's on your counter, and you just dump a bunch of water, egg, and it's like and flour into it, and it creates the noodles for you. So you have fresh noodles. And for whatever reason, I just think that I can't live without that thing. But it costs $179, so I'm hoping that they mark it down. And I just realized that I don't have that Dyson blow dryer on my list here. So Arlene, hey Arlene, one of my favorite people on the planet. That blow dryer is great. So you've got one. Okay, so I need to I've seen them refurbished, which I'm also not afraid of refurbished stuff. It just means the box is not pretty, because they usually are totally fine. Eric said the first hair dryer I had was mom's. She bought herself a new one. Yeah, that's what a lot of stuff that my children own is previously owned by Koopa Koch, passed down, why the fuck would they have something nicer than I do? That's what I don't get, unless they're using their own money. Anyway, got these towels, which I need to put that Dyson blow dryer. Let me make a note to myself to do that. And then I just had one other thing on my list to talk about today. Then I'm gonna let you go have my fourth glass of wine for the day. I'm actually completely sober right now. It was at lunch that Eric and I had 3 glasses of wine. But I read something yesterday that's so interesting. This will be like the 6th time I've talked about Adele this week, by the way. But Adele bought Sylvester Stallone's old mansion in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, I assume, maybe Bel Air, or Brentwood, like one of those areas. But Adele bought Sylvester Stallone's mansion. She's for gazillion dollars. She's now doing this gazillion dollar renovation of it also. But there was one thing that he had that he was going to take with him that she said was a deal breaker. I don't know if y'all heard about this, but at the foot or the head of the pool, at the end of the pool, he had a Rocky statue, like the like from the thing, like when he's standing on the steps with the arms up, all that kind of stuff. Actually, it's not that one. It's the one where he was in the ring, because it has the gloves and the hand, the shorts on. He had a statue of himself. It was a gift to him No, he didn't make it himself. It was a gift to him at the end of his pool. And when he was going to take it with him, and Adele said, "No, you're not. That's a deal breaker. You won't leave it here." And so Adele has a Rocky statue sitting by her pool, even after she does all this renovation. That girl is crazy. That's hilarious to me. Also, so we have this big backyard, and it's all wooded, and it's mostly hills, and I want to create like a sculpture garden up there. But one, that's expensive, and two, Todd does not like most outdoor sculptures. Todd does not like anything that's kind of just looks like some bent metal that's been rusted and then turned into a thing. He wants it to be like kind of more realistic or more artistic, traditionally artistic, which I don't. I want more. I don't mind that. But I don't want little girl on a bench. I would rather have like a big clothespin or something like that in the backyard. Anyway, Arlene's saying Weight Watchers has a nice. I'll have to look that up because I am a member of Weight Watchers and I do get their promotions a lot. I always forget to check. I always forget that they have gadgets and stuff and to check that. So I'll have to check that because Weight Watchers, it's not how I lost all 35 pounds, but it's how I lost like the last 15 of them. So I'm a big fan. Plus Oprah owns part of Weight Watchers. Anyway, alrighty. Well, that's it for me today. This week is over. It is now officially 5:01. We can have a good weekend. Next week is a short week for me too. We leave for California on Thursday. So I will not be here on Thursday for sure next week, possibly Friday. Because I'll need to show you the house that I'm in, right? It's so cute. It's so cute. You'll learn I do not actually like luxury houses at the beach. I like a good old-fashioned like 60s or 70s beach house. It has to be updated a little bit, but it does not need to be like a Highland Park house on the water. I want it to be like authentic beach house. And that's what we've got next week. So, alrighty. Eric is wishing everyone a great weekend. So awesome. Well, with that, I'm going to say bye. I love you. It's important to know you were loved. I love that you watched this. Thank you so much for letting me process all my emotions and day externally with y'all. You get to listen to it and give me positive reinforcement. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself this weekend. Do not should yourself to death. No good comes from should. And I will see you Monday for another episode of Cooped Up Live. Should I say bye? I did that wrong. Cooped Up Live. Should I say bye? Bye, bye, bye.